let's join ace broadcaster Mamode Akugha as he takes us inside the Niger Delta.
Hello out there and welcome to the program. It's Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region. I'm your regular host, Mamode Akugha. In our lead story in today's package, we take a look at how the Niger Delta, Nigeria's cash cow, has fared in the last 60 years of the country's existence as a self-governing state. A second report focuses on the abandoned Emevo OROGUN Road construction project, awarded some 5 years ago by the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, to ease transportation hiccups and facilitate rapid development of communities within and outside Isoko North local government area of Delta State. Moving on, we'll bring you an update on the forensic audit of NDDC's operations in the last 20 years as Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Senator Godswill Akpabio, inaugurates a committee to provide security for forensic auditors and protect sensitive materials throughout the exercise. We will, in the course of the program, highlight efforts made so far by the federal government to complete the EastWest Road construction project. And finally, in today's package is a report on the road for economic diversification in readiness for a post-oil and gas economy in the Niger Delta. Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region, will be back in just a moment. Don't go away.
Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, determined to make a difference.
Welcome back. It's Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region. Prior to Nigeria's independence on October 1st, 1960, the British colonial authorities had designated the Niger Delta region a special area in need of rapid development. In this report, correspondent Ekena Amiofori takes a look at how the region has fared 60 years after self-rule.
On the eve of Nigeria's independence, the Willings Commission, appointed by the British colonial administration, had designated what is today known and referred to as the Niger Delta, a special area in need of rapid development. Based on the recommendation of the Willings Commission report, the federal government at independence established the Niger Delta Development Board to initiate and execute projects and programs to transform the region. Following the outbreak of the Nigerian Civil War in 1967, the first intervention agency in the Niger Delta had ceased to exist and was replaced by successive agencies that have been unable to address the concerns of largely backward communities in the region. Consequently, there's a general consensus that after 60 years of Nigeria's existence as a self-governing state, development is still a mirage in the Niger Delta.
The Niger Delta have fared very badly. Never in history has a region with all the resources fared so foul, so bad as the Niger Delta.
Some development analysts are of the view that the crisis of underdevelopment in the Niger Delta has deepened over the years in spite of the federal government's intervention. The post-Civil War years came with the relegation of agriculture and the ascendancy of crude oil and gas as Nigeria's economic mainstay. While the rest of the country benefited immensely from the oil boom of the 1970s, the discovery of the black gold had spelled doom for the Niger Delta region.
The environmental degradation imposed on the region by the environmental unfriendly practices of oil mining have actually created a crisis of, a deeper crisis than it was in 1960 when Nigeria gained independence. If you take a look at every known indicator of well-being, Niger Delta appears to have done worse than it was 60 years down the road.
What they've been doing, and that's why the situation has gone worse, is that they looked at it as an appeasement mechanism. The interventions have always been to see who they can appease in the region and then do some patronage mechanism to see what how they can appease maybe most of the some of the pliant peoples of the region.
The persistence of the Niger Delta question till date is blamed on the flawed nature and character of Nigeria's federalist structure that does not allow for even and rapid development amongst its federating units.
Before independence and shortly after independence, when oil was not a factor in national revenue, the Niger Delta region, the other regions that were producing well, retained a substantial part of what they produced and paid taxes to the national government. All of that has changed. What we now have is a regime of revenue sharing in which the national government takes all of it and then gives a pittance to the Niger Delta region.
They created OROGUN, they created NDDC, they created Ministry of Niger Delta. What is the level of funding? The level of funding is very abysmal. The Niger Delta have been cheated over and over for 60 years. And this is a very bad comment.
Between 1999 and 2007, members of the National Assembly from the South-South region were very active, pursuing their rights and getting them. That is why we were able to move a little up. But of recent, when membership of the National Assembly and other political appointments are based on selection by the governors, we are not able to have the best representation. So we would expect that our members in the National Assembly should be more up and doing.
Undoubtedly, the real solution to the crisis of underdevelopment in the Niger Delta rests with the National Assembly, where political representatives of the region are in the minority. It behoves on other members of parliament, therefore, to begin to empathize with largely impoverished oil-producing communities in the Niger Delta in their struggle for an existence in the Nigerian Federation.
Inside the Niger Delta.
Members of Emevo community in Isoko North local government area of Delta State have drawn the attention of the Niger Delta Development Commission NDDC to the abandoned state of the EMEVOR OROGUN Road construction project it awarded as far back as 2015. Correspondent Chika Abodozie, who visited Emevo community, recently reports that the non-completion of the Emevo OROGUN Road construction project has practically stalled development in the area.
In 2015, the NDDC awarded a contract for the construction of the failed and unmotorable EMEVOR OROGUN Road in Isoko North local government area of Delta State for an estimated sum of 4 billion naira. Although Emevo is a peaceful oil-producing community which plays host to OML 26 and OML 30, it has suffered untold neglect over the years. When our crew visited the project site recently and interacted with members of the Emevo Infrastructure Committee, the chairman and members of the committee said they have a mandate to ensure that the people of Emevo have a true experience of infrastructural development. They have decided, therefore, to resort to self-help in the provision of basic amenities for the community.
We have waited patiently for the contractors employed by NDDC to perform, but for 5 years they have not done anything.
We cannot be hewers of wood and fetchers of water, while other communities around us in other places that don't even have a barrel of crude oil or gas contributing to national revenue begin to enjoy public infrastructure.
Our appeal goes to NDDC to tighten up their bet against the contractors that have been awarded this contract.
Inhabitants of this peaceful community who expect more in return for their contribution to the nation's economic survival decry the current state of the road.
I would be very happy if during the few years God will allow me to live, that this your journey will bring a good result, and I will see that the roads, especially the one you saw today from James Wedge to OROGUN, is completed.
Other residents are particularly worried about the negative impacts of the deplorable state of the road on the local economy.
the status of the road has made it more or less virtually impossible for development to take place in Emevo and the environs, especially the villages. This road, unfortunately, has been awarded on several occasions and has never be completed. Therefore, I sincerely appeal to NDDC to speed up the construction of this vital road that is connecting us not only to the villages of Emevo but en route to OROGUN town.
The 15-kilometer road project was conceived to link Emevo to several adjoining communities from the Ughelli-Asaba Express Road to OROGUN was awarded in 4 lots. Lot 1 was awarded to Wakema Construction Limited, Lot 2 to Omarok Limited, while Lot 3 and 4 was awarded to Lago Construction Nigeria Limited. When our crew contacted one of the contractors on his mobile telephone, the managing director of Lago Construction, Mr. Ibe Ugochukwu, said after the contract was signed, he moved in to do some initial remedial work, but bad weather and lack of funds have delayed the project.
It is not an abandoned project. It was awarded to me in 2015. It's 9.5 kilometer road. They don't have any budget line. The Emevo people have reached me several times. I told them, the job is in my company name. It will be done, and it will be done very well. My own project is Lot 3 and 4, which I have done remedial job for them to be able to pass. So Emevo did a good job. I told them, let us, by November, December, if NDDC were able to sort out, has 2020 budget, which their capital project can be paid to, I will move into site. Because my money is at stake.
Emevo plays host to the prestigious James Welsh Secondary School and the National Open University of Nigeria. On our visit, we noticed that students had a tough time driving through the dilapidated road to sit for examinations at the National Open University of Nigeria.
Over these years, we've discovered that issues of access for students in our neighboring communities, our neighbors from other local government cannot access it. I have about 7 students from that access. They tell me the problems they go through, the challenges of trying to find access to the university. They have to go to Ughelli first, turning around. When they have a distance, they can come in within 15 minutes. My appeal and my plea to NDDC is that help us to do this road.
Emevo and its neighboring communities have underscored the need for the abandoned Emevo OROGUN Road construction project to be captured in the ongoing forensic audit of the NDDC. They also want the intervention agency to revisit the contract and ensure that it is speedily completed for the common good of several communities in Delta South and Delta Central senatorial districts of Delta State.
Inside the Niger Delta.
Heritage Bank. Service, performance, respect, integrity, innovation, tenacity, excellence. Heritage Bank, your timeless wealth partner. Looking for irresistible luxury? Welcome to Oak Haven Hotel, located at the heart of GRA Port Harcourt, River State. With a wide array of luxury rooms to offer you exquisite comfort to the VIP lounge with wireless internet services and a fully packed bar, Oak Haven Hotel also has a dazzling swimming pool, a chill-out area, and a massage and wellness spa. For your meetings and events, our conference hall and restaurant Victoria will exceed your expectations. Oak Haven Hotel, comfort you can't afford to miss.
Get to know the future. The future is ITEO.
Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Senator Godswill Akpabio, has inaugurated a security committee to provide security for forensic auditors and protection of materials in the ongoing forensic audit of operations of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, in the last 20 years of its existence. The inauguration follows the Federal Executive Council's approval of the engagement of the last batch of field forensic auditors to investigate operations of the NDDC in the period under review.
Senator Akpabio, while inaugurating the committee, stressed the need to provide adequate security for auditors appointed to undertake a forensic audit of NDDC operations as ordered by President Buhari. With the recent approval of the appointment of the last batch of 8 field forensic auditors by the Federal Executive Council, the forensic audit is already underway.
We are counting on your expertise for the success of this exercise, which really means that without adequate security, they may not even get to some of the sites. And so it's your expertise that we will count on to assist the forensic auditors to be able to get to some of those sites. Kindly note that the final outcome of the exercise will be dependent on the level of effectiveness of the services provided by the various committees, and particularly your committee.
The Security Committee, chaired by Dr. Babayo Ado, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs, has representatives of the Armed Forces, Department of State Services, and the Nigerian Police. Its role is considered crucial to the success of the ongoing forensic audits of the NDDC.
We work assiduously to see that the auditors they achieve their purpose and that the overall objective of Mr. President is achieved.
In a related development, Senator AKPABIO recently inaugurated the last batch of 8 field forensic auditors following approval of their appointments by the Federal Executive Council. The Honorable Minister at the inauguration enjoined the auditors to carry out their assignment diligently and come up with results that will reposition the NDDC.
I have no doubt that your firms have gone through the critical and in-depth assessment by relevant authorities, including the Bureau of Public Procurement, to have come to this point, to have come this far, in order to understand the enormity of the task ahead. I think leadership played a lot of role, and so you also critically examine what we can do in terms of being able to reposition the NDDC.
I want to say to the Honorable Minister and his team that we are all ready for work. The Ministry will be fully satisfied with the results of our work, with interim reports being submitted to let the Ministry know how far we have gone and what issues we have found as we progress on the way.
Altogether, 16 auditors have been engaged to undertake the forensic audits of NDDC operations in the last 20 years. They are expected to conclude their assignments and submit their findings by April 2021.
Inside the Niger Delta.
Belema Oil Producing Limited, oil production and exploration company. Belema Oil, truly indigenous, world-class brand. Ezekiel Group, oil and gas, dredging, power and air transportation. Ezekiel Group, petroleum product sufficiency, energy sustainability and infrastructure development.
Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Senator Godswill Akpabio, has reiterated the federal government's commitment to complete the reconstruction of the EastWest Road by the end of 2021. Senator Akpabio gave the assurance recently while inspecting some projects executed in Rivers and Akwa Ibom states by the federal government. Correspondent Lovely Ofigo has more.
In line with the federal government's resolve to complete the East-West Road reconstruction project by the end of 2021, Senator Akpabio recently inspected the level of progress achieved on critical sections of the road in Akwa Ibom and Rivers states. His first port of call was Eket in Akwa Ibom State, where he noticed that under the Buhari administration, efforts have been made to address the challenge of inadequate funding, which is largely responsible for the non-completion of the project.
We don't want any budgetary stop. Therefore, my ministry is putting over 2/3 of the 2021 budget into this road. NDDC will also make contribution towards this. And the federal government is also determined to put money, even if it comes from the service-wide route, to ensure that this road by December next year is completed for the use of the people.
In Rivers State, AKPABIO was at the badly damaged port along the Eleme-Onne section of the East-West Road. Here, the Honorable Minister decided to carry out an on-the-spot assessment of the dilapidated Okuru bridges at Aleto in Eleme local government area.
The federal government under President Muhammadu Buhari is very determined to ensure that the EastWest Road in totality is completed in the shortest possible time. I thank the President for his latest decision that the road should return to the ministry and that we should expedite action immediately. And he has released money to that effect. We have paid RCC about 4.9 billion and they are on it, and I'm assuring them that as soon as they bring the IPC, my permanent secretary will take care of it. But what we have seen here also requires urgent action.
In June this year, AKPABIO met with contractors handling sections 1 to 4 of the EastWest Road reconstruction project shortly after the federal government released about 20 billion naira for its completion. At the meeting, Senator AKPABIO had urged contractors to ensure speedy completion of the project that had suffered undue delay on account of lack of funds to execute it since it was first awarded in 2006. With the renewed commitments to the completion of the project, AKPABIO is optimistic that it would be delivered on record time to offer Niger Delta communities a new lease of life. As part of his recent working visit to the Niger Delta, Senator AKPABIO also inspected an ongoing project for the construction of a permanent corporate headquarters building for the NDDC in Port Harcourt. The project, initiated over 20 years ago by the defunct Oil Mineral Producing Areas Development Commission (OMPADEC), was awarded to several contractors who could not deliver. Owing to the non-completion of this project over the years, the commission had been compelled to expend as much as 300 million naira annually on rentage. It was to block leakages in the system that Senator AKPABIO decided to review the contract process for the completion of the NDDC headquarters project in Port Harcourt. At a meeting with interim management of the NDDC, Senator AKPABIO expressed satisfaction with the level of progress achieved so far on the project.
It's to the glory of President Mamode, DCFR, that we are inside the edifice of the Niger Delta Development Commission. This feat could not have been achieved without the cooperation of members of the interim management committee and then the directors in the ministry and the entirety of the staff. And for the press, I think this is positive for Nigeria.
The project for the construction of a permanent headquarters for the NDDC, having reached a completion stage of over 98%, is expected to be commissioned in no distant time.
Inside the Niger Delta.
Senior Special Assistant to the President on Niger Delta Affairs, Senator ENANG, has urged financial institutions to liberalize their loan conditions to enable more farmers in the Niger Delta access credit. Senator ENANG made a call recently in Abuja at a multi-sectoral meeting on diversification of the Niger Delta non-oil sector.
The emergency agricultural projects to be executed in the Niger Delta, the brainchild of Senior Special Assistant to the President on Niger Delta Affairs, Senator ENANG, is in furtherance of a Marshall Plan for the region in a post-oil economy. At a stakeholders meeting jointly organized recently in Abuja by the Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President, and the Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations, Senator ENANG observed that increasing irrelevance of crude oil in the international market makes diversification inevitable for the economic survival of the Niger Delta and the rest of the country.
We reasoned that we needed to embark on farm rescue, which implies that there are mega, large and medium-scale landowners and farmers and livestock rearers who have functional farms. Some of them are stressed, requiring bailout and or grants to enable them prune the farms, tend the crops, engage and generally make their product available in the market to feed the populace and avoid importation, thus conserving foreign exchange.
In addition to vast deposits of crude oil and gas, the Niger Delta, the largest wetland on the African continent, is largely endowed with loamy soil, which is suitable for growing food and cash crops. Ironically, most communities in the region have had to contend with food insecurity, unemployment, and widespread poverty.
These agricultural projects that target the Niger Delta region, the nation's non-oil economy, we have a range of benefits. production of food in appreciable abundance, and the attendant creation of additional industries. Reduction in the unparalleled economic shock due to the ongoing pandemic. Reduction in security issues in the area, thereby improving security for all.
At the just concluded multi-sectoral meeting on emergency agricultural projects in the Niger Delta, Senator ENANG, however, underscored the need for financial institutions to review their conditions for agricultural loans to enable more farmers in the region access credit facilities.
We therefore propose as follows: that the conditionalities and process for this loan facility be reviewed, lowered, liberalized, and made more accessible for farmers. If you examine the cost of food today and the scarcity leading to emergency import of maize, this program appears plausible to serve the economy, avoid import with attendant pressure of foreign exchange, as well as political image of the government. The government is credited for how much it is able to feed its citizens at the lowest cost.
In implementing the renewed agricultural revolution policy in the Niger Delta, stakeholders have organized farmers in the region into clusters and cooperatives. The expectation is that practicing and prospective farmers will have unfettered access to credit facilities to engage meaningfully in a sector that promises to change their economic fortunes in the event of a post-crude oil economy.
Inside the Niger Delta.
And with that report, we draw the curtain on the program. Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region will be back same time, same station next week. Until then, you can follow us on our social media handles showing right now on your screen. Until next week, I am Mamode Akugha, thanking you for staying with us. Bye for now.